The mid-70s were a very, very stressful time for Malvern Prep.
This was a wreck, this whole building, the one that you're in now, Austin Hall.
Things were just falling apart.
When Father first came to Malvern, there was the possibility of it closing.
He was sent here by the Augustinians to try to right the ship. So no one really knew from the get-go exactly what was going to happen. But it wasn't long after he being here, you knew you were in the right hands.
There were several key Board of Trustee members who also shared that passion to keep the school open.
We came back with a plan, and we then had a vote on that plan. And of course, all the lay people voted for it. All the Augustinians voted against it, and then Father Duffy was the tiebreaker.
Father was going against his Augustinian brothers in terms of voting to keep the school open.
Which was a very gutsy move, but reflected his passion, his loyalty to the school.
From that, there began a movement by faculty, alumni, and students to try to save the school.
But what Dave did with the board is he just got everybody together, listed the problems, and one by one began to tackle them.
What took over this campus over the next couple of months was extraordinary.
Through the dedication of the faculty and the Augustinians and Dave and the board, was that we reinvented Malvern Prep and made it a better school.
Malvern is where it is right now because of the Board of Trustees and Father Duffy and the leadership they've given to the school.
Well, he was a leader. He wasn't a micromanager.
There would be the sense on the outside that Dave would give that he had no idea what we should do in a situation like this. And that's the way he would just garner a lot of advice from people.
He had a way about him. I think he enjoyed being the chief.
Well, he got people involved. He got alumni involved. He really helped reformulate the board.
What I noticed was that he instinctively seemed to pick the right people to do the job.
He has just had a way of charming people and getting them to work with them. He was somebody that was hard to say no to.
Father, we used to call him our $1 million man.
Because he would come one day, walk to me in practice, and said, how'd you do today? What'd you do today? I says, oh, I don't know, I'm out here. He says, I got a check for $1 million today.
He was always low-key, never pushy, but he was not afraid to ask somebody for a donation for the school because he believed in the cause.
He would do anything for anybody, and he wouldn't ask anyone to do something that he himself wouldn't be willing to do.
He made you feel very special, but he also made you realize that all of us are here doing God's work.
Father Duffy's legacy is the Augustinian charism of truth, unity, and love. Without Dave Duffy having lived those three virtues, we would still be wondering what they really meant and what they were.
He was a man of Christ. He definitely was there leading by example.
He was someone who made you always feel at ease about everything that you did. He was always very supportive.
I think people sensed the reverence with which he presented himself to them as something that was really coming from God through him to them.
Really, you could see the Lord in him. He was very, very committed to what he was doing.
He always had a knack of being in the right place at the right time when people were hurting.
The work that I've done at Malvern has really been for my love and admiration for him.
It was so subtle, his whole approach to everyday life. You just didn't even know the effect that he was having until you had time to sit back and look on the cumulative effect.
I don't know that anything else in life was more important than his priesthood and his commitment to Malvern.
That doesn't come just from a human being. I think there's always a force behind that. And Dave knew, and I believe, that it was God himself.
People associate Father Duffy with three things: being an Augustinian, his love of Malvern, and his love of golf.
No. Uncle Dave didn't like golf at all.
Was Father Duffy a good golfer?
Some days he was great, other days he wasn't so good. Then he'd come back and give it up, for a while.
I'll be honest, I think Father was a 23 handicap, but he had the heart. We used to call him the bulldog.
Well, his favorite course in the Dominican Republic, I know, was the Teeth of the Dog.
The Firestone course.
Huntington Valley.
His home course was Waynesboro.
They gave him an honorary membership at Applebrook.
He loved Dorado Beach.
Bay Colony Golf Club.
I think you could find a different course that Father had a favorite in each state because he played all over the world.
Let's say we just showed up and there's like 10 foursomes waiting to get on the tee. He would go in the pro shop. He would come out of the pro shop and tell us, we're on the tee now. And here's a dozen balls apiece that the pro gave us to use.
Ellen and I had just given our biggest gift ever to Malvern. And shortly thereafter, he invited me to play golf with him, which he should have, you know, considering what we gave him. And he wouldn't give me a 3-foot putt.
I mean, if he was sitting across from you in a game of cards, he would want to beat you.
Academics is number 1, athletics is number 2.
Dedication, practice, perseverance, overcoming obstacles. And if you accomplish that on a sports field, then that can translate to so many aspects of life in the future.
He would say to me that, Pat, I'm the luckiest monk to ever walk the face of the earth. And I said, why would that be, Father? He said, because I have great Augustinian brothers, a great love of God, a great family and friends. And he says, I also get paid to play golf just like Tiger Woods does.
Well, Malvern didn't have any arts at all until the late 80s, early 90s.
We believe strongly that you need a total education for a student at Malvern, and for many years the arts was not part of the education.
And it was a dream to make the arts something very special here at Malvern.
The Arts Center is going to create another level for this whole school.
He was Malvern, and he would just love everything that's going on right now.
When Father heard that the building was going to be named after him, he cried, a little bit tears of emotion.
I can just envision in my mind the look on his face when that center will be opened, because he would have loved it.
Malvern and Uncle Dave are one and the same.
I miss him. Like my own brother, I had one brother, biological brother, and I miss him every day, especially living here where his presence is so evident.
It's the same, but not quite the same without Father Duffy.
So he's a really loved man. People love him, and certainly I did.
The fact that we're a school that whenever something goes wrong, this compassionate side just becomes so evident to everyone. A student dies, a parent dies. We change schedules, we change everything to accommodate the grief of the family. That's Dave Duffy. That's really Dave Duffy. And that's the Augustinian spirit. It didn't come, Dave was not the originator of it. He was just the lived presence of it. And he has transmitted that as his legacy, I think, onto us.